Oh my, oh my. Can I be heard? Yeah, there we go. Audio is looking good. Oh man, it's about to go down, man. Thing is up. Only thing that's not up is the link to this business event. I mean, like they haven't posted the link yet, which is probably a good thing, considering how YouTube employees like to leak stuff that's been pre-uploaded. And I do believe this podcast was probably pre-recorded to make sure that they don't say anything out of line. They could do a second take if they need to, third, fourth take if they got to, that kind of thing. Let's see, I'm looking at the Xbox official podcast, like the playlist on the Xbox channel, and it's just got the last episode, so guess I'm gonna have to keep refreshing the page until this thing pops up. Does it show up as live stream? Nah. But we about to get into it. So Joseph, I don't know if Joseph is still here. I updated the title, Joseph. It's been done. Don't worry about it. Forte should be joining us soon. I think Eric Jackson also wanted to come through. Let me hit up Eric. Make sure he's still coming through.
Is the world burnt yet?
Not quite yet. We're getting there though. Not quite yet.
As the world turned upside down, are we upside down?
Are we in the upside down?
Are we
Maybe.
in the upside down?
We might be. Q and McCully, what's up, man? He says, I'm here for the chaos. There's gonna be a lot of that. Oh my gosh, what is Luca asking me? Yeah, Forte, what's your prediction of what's about to happen, man?
Nah, I don't want to predict on this. This is it's gonna be horrible all the way around. I don't think we gonna get anything. I think they gonna skate around the big question. You ain't gonna hear about all those big games that you want to know if they're coming to other platforms. You may hear something about Starfield. They may say something like Starfield, it's going to other platforms, but they won't give a timetable on it. You're not going to get anything on Hellblade and stuff like that and Forza. They're not going to tell you if that stuff's going. They're going to tell you that games like Hi-Fi Rush, and they're going to tell you the business plan around that. I think they're going to, man, as much as I hate it, I think they're going to do something around hardware. They're going to announce something around hardware to
Hold on, you don't think they're going to explain themselves? No. Of like why they're doing this?
No, they're going to tell you why they're doing it. They're just not going to tell you what games are going to be the ones that's going to help them do this. They're not going to give you, it's going to be like, you're still going to be asking questions after this.
Oh yeah, there's going to be tons of questions after this. Yeah,
you're going to be still asking like, oh, well, when do we know what Xbox games are going over?
Do you have the link to the stream?
No, it's probably just gonna publish at 9 at
Oh, so you think it's going to be a uploaded? Yeah. I thought it would be a premiere video. Like, you know how you could upload a video and it's a premiere, and it's like, like I thought it'd be like that. Like, it would be a live video, in quotations, but it's really an upload.
Yeah, they
But I'm
probably
pretty
haven't set
sure.
the private. They probably haven't set the private just so if the leak does get out, you can't, because you can't view up, even if the leak is out there, you can't view a
Yeah, but
private video.
YouTube employees can look at that though.
Oh yeah, they can look at it, but they
I'm gonna look
but
at
they
like
can't.
the other streams they've had have had. No, they've been just
Premieres.
uploaded.
They've just been uploads.
Yeah, for
They haven't
the
done.
podcast. Yeah, they haven't been live at all. So
Yeah, it's just gonna go live. I think it's just gonna go live at 3:00. So just be on their channel.
all right.
That's where it's gonna go. I don't know. So what do you think, SloMo? You think they're gonna tell you the whole slate, or you think they're gonna leave you in the dark? Or what
I
do you
think
think?
I think they are going to explain their rationale for why they are doing this, because clearly that's what the Xbox community has been debating about ever since maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, since like these rumors really started to kick up. And I think they're going to discuss that. I think they're also going to okay, give me a second. I'm telling Eric to join whenever you're ready. I think that's going to be probably the most polarizing thing, the explanation, because there are going to be people who are hardline, like this is a no-go. This is something that you don't do. And then there are going to be people who are going to be amenable to it. And and then there are going to be people who I was talking about last night on Twitter, where the same people who were, oh, I agree with you guys, this ain't a good look, but I'm not going to talk on rumors and speculation. No, I'm not going to condemn them on rumors and speculation, but if it's true, I'm right there with you guys if it's true. And then now we're starting to see some of those same people saying that if it was true, I will condemn them when they officially say what you are saying is going on or potentially going on. I'm seeing those same people now agreeing with the new shift, the new paradigm shift of Xbox, the new pivot that they're doing. And it's just like, I knew y'all were going to do that from the start. You could torch yourself in any way possible to not criticize Xbox leadership for whatever reason. Like, you have this idol worship for people, for Phil Spencer and Matt Booty and Sarah Bond in the positions that they are. And for whatever reason, you choose not to criticize them ever. And if you do criticize them, it's because 99% of the gaming community is saying the same things that they were wrong about. And then that's when you jump on and then
IOP
you use
just
that.
got taken offline.
They got taken offline. What you mean?
Yeah, their stream just died.
Oh boy. Audible. He said, all right, where we at? What's going on? Hey, nothing quite yet, man. We got about 6 minutes before this gets started.
We already know the answer to all this, Audible.
Forte, can when Eric gets into the waiting room, can you throw him in? Yeah. Oh man.
Speaking of which, on another note, what do you think? Because Tiger Woods launched his own apparel and he left Nike. What do you think? What do you think of the name?
He should have been to that.
Sunday Red. What do you think of it?
I think that name sucks though.
I was like, what? I understand the red part. I mean, I understand the meaning of it because he always wears the red shirt on Sunday. But it's like, I was like, okay. I mean, he should have definitely did
that a while ago. Like, that should have been like his
brand has been bigger than Nike for a while now. Right.
He should have been did that. Like, that's crazy.
I wonder why
he's just doing that. And he's like, almost, isn't he like semi-retired or whatever? Like, he's clearly not.
He's still golfing. I mean, he's golfing today, matter of fact, on that tour that they're doing right now. But
he don't win no more.
He ain't won in a while, man.
Yeah, I mean, his knees is jacked. He's too old. Anyway, let's talking about freaking Tiger Woods. Nobody give a damn on Tiger Woods, man.
Wait. It sounded like you did, because you was going in for a second. You was like, man, this dude Tiger Woods.
I don't know why you were bringing up irrelevant stuff to this.
I just wanted to ask you, because I was looking at ESPN and I just saw a picture of him and I was like,
it's irrelevant. This is the what is the name of the stream? Xbox Business Update event.
That ain't going down for another 5 minutes. We got dead stuff. Dude, we got time to kill.
Let's talk. We can talk about things in regards to that.
It's not like Xbox is about to tell you everything that you think you don't know today. You're gonna be in the dark. All that stuff you just mentioned, stuff you mentioned ain't gonna happen.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see in 5 minutes. I do think they will talk hardware. I think they will talk hardware.
They're gonna definitely talk hardware.
They're gonna try to excite people with things that they got in store as they deliver bad news. It's like when you give someone medicine and you put some sugar in it, you know what I'm saying? So like, make it easier to go down, pause. So right. I think that's the case for real. And I think they're going to be like, I think they're going to talk about that stuff first. Remember how like when people was upset that Redfall was 30 frames per second on Xbox? And remember how they didn't want to talk about if Starfield was 30 FPS on Xbox? Remember how like everyone was asking these questions and they weren't answering them? And then out of nowhere, like they did the Starfield event like after the June showcase. They waited until the end of the Starfield event to say that it was 30 frames per second and there was no performance mode on Xbox. They waited to the end. They didn't say it in the beginning. They wanted to kind of like excite you with the game before delivering that bad news. I think this event's going to be the same. I think this event is going to be them talking about the future of Xbox in exciting terms and trying to get people hyped for things while ignoring the elephant in the room and then eventually getting into that stuff. But that they want you to be excited first, be in a different frame of mind first, which it's probably not going to work if you ask me. Gregor says we're about to learn the reason Xbox called people ponies is because they never had a horse in the race themselves. Gregor been holding on to that joke all week. He been holding on to that one for a while now. Okay, we got 2 minutes to go. Let me go check the Xbox page again and see if this thing has popped up yet. No, still nothing. Okay.
Sunday Red.
Oh man, do you see Eric yet? I don't know if he popped in. He is. You not even paying attention. Good grief!
He just got there. I just looked and he just popped in. Yes,
no,
Eric,
he didn't.
Eric, didn't you just pop in there?
No, he didn't.
He did.
I've been about 2-3 minutes ago or so.
Thank you. Like I said, you weren't paying attention. Forte be lying, just lying loud and wrong.
No,
just be lying. I said,
you know what,
Eric? This is what I said. I said, Forte.
Is there a way to mute this motherfucker right now, dog? Can we mute SloMo, please?
Oh,
I can't mute him. It's his stream. Freak.
I'm the one that's streaming.
Oh, speaking of which, why am I seeing didn't you tell Red that you stopped doing the whole thing with your performance showing in the top corner of your screen?
Is this a live stream or recorded gameplay, Forte?
It's a recorded gameplay, but did you say you stopped doing that?
Yeah, right. When did Alan Wake come out? And when did Starfield come out?
I don't know when this is. What is this? When did you play this? Is this old gameplay or
this is old gameplay? This is old gameplay.
So that's all you had to say. I was just keeping you on track. I'm just making sure that if you say it's old gameplay, then it's old gameplay.
Somebody need to keep you on track. out here.
You know why calling
me out my name. I'm like, good grief. I mean, just all because you didn't do what you said you was going to do, which is.
I was on the phone and I was
looking. Oh my God! All these excuses. All these. Well, excuses.
I mean, listen, my store called.
Where is the stream at, yo? Do you see it?
Direct upload because they didn't share like any links and like nothing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a direct upload. Guaranteed.
Well, where is it? It's 3:00.
It's gonna be okay. Wait a minute, it'll be there. The Xbox got us out here all looking.
Wait a minute. It's time.
IOP,
what do you mean?
Listen, IOP, they just keep refreshing it. It's like
it's like trying to buy something online. It's like keep hitting F5.
Oh damn! Somebody said they telling IOP. They said y'all, we had a good run, dog. Oh, it's on. It's up there. 52. They just uploaded 55 seconds ago. It's up there. Oh my God. Let's go.
What the? It's a live stream?
Oh, there it is.
No, it's
22 minutes long, right?
Yeah, 22. Yeah, it's 22 minutes long.
Okay, I can see it now. Okay, let me get this.
Oh dang, 22 minutes. That's all. They ain't got a whole lot to say, huh?
I tell you, they go.
Hello and welcome to the official Xbox podcast. I'm your host, Tina Amini, and we have a very special episode today, as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm joined by Phil, Sarah, and Matt. Welcome. And we're going to talk about some updates at Xbox. We want to talk about game exclusivity. We want to talk about Activision Blizzard now that they're part of our portfolio, how that might be an impact on Game Pass. And we want to talk about hardware too and how all of this fits into the strategy at Xbox. So where should we start, Phil?
Well, when we originally had planned for the show, starting back in December, I think we probably would have started with Activision Blizzard, maybe talked a little bit about the exclusivity with some of the news coming up, and then hardware. But we've had some unforeseen news that has come out. So let's just go and tackle the exclusivity question, because I know it's on the minds of a lot of people. We hear from the community, and that's an important input for us. So we made the decision that we're going to take 4 games to the other consoles, just 4 games. 4 games. Not a change to our kind of fundamental exclusive strategy. We're making these decisions for some specific reasons. We make every decision really with the long-term health of Xbox in mind.
4 games.
The long-term health of
just
Xbox means a growing platform, our games performing, building the best platform for creators, reaching.
How many games is Nintendo and PlayStation?
We're always looking to learn as a leadership team.
Or 0?
And to grow. And we think this is an interesting point in time for us to use what some of the other platforms have right now to help grow our franchises. So we're going to do that.
So these 4 titles,
man, Matt
what are they?
over there looks sick.
I'm not going to name those games. The teams that are building those games
not
have announced plans that are not too far away.
Oh my God!
As we know, game teams put a lot of energy into their announcements with the partners. So
massive
I don't want to take anything away from those teams. So I won't be talking about the titles specifically, but I think when they come out, it'll make sense.
Can we say if either of those
it doesn't make sense, Phil,
or Indiana
Jones? It does not make sense.
They're not Starfield or Indiana Jones.
Well, what was the criteria and
it's
how
not Starfield,
it's
not Indiana
selecting
Jones.
Those 4 titles?
Let me start a little bit outside of that, and then I'll get to the 4 specific games that we're talking about right now. Because the fundamental decision driver for any decision that we make, anything we're going to talk about today,
I guess you got a little bit of a W by it not being
that we're running
Starfield,
a growing
Indiana
platform
Jones.
that is reaching more players, that our games are having as much success as possible. And I do have a fundamental belief that over the next 5 or 10 years,
I can barely hear you. Can we try to turn you up?
Exclusive to one piece of hardware are going to be a smaller and smaller part of the game industry.
And
that's not some great insight, because if you look at the last 10 years and what the biggest games are today, it's a natural place.
3 minutes
Whether it's one console and PC, multiple consoles, mobile console and PC, you see big games landing on multiple platforms. And we want to be a great platform for creators that are trying to realize that potential. But now back to the specifics of the question on these 4 specific titles. We looked at games that are over a year old. So they've
It's
been
good
on
that
Xbox
he's trying to
and
explain
PC
this
for
and
a
not
while.
Sarah, though.
A couple of the games are community-driven
it's his
games,
job to
new
explain
games
it,
that kind of
honestly.
first iterations of a
So
franchise.
the whole thing of them trying to
that
get
have
Sarah
reached
to
their
do
full
it was
potential,
just
let's say,
like
on Xbox and PC.
ridiculous
There's
to
always
begin
growth.
with. This whole thing is
Franchises
ridiculous,
that
but
we
whatever.
obviously want to continue to invest in. Part of having the ability to continue to invest is that the businesses behind those franchises continue. We think it's important that these service-based games that have communities behind them, that they can have confidence that they're going to exist in the future. So 2 of them, kind of community-driven games that will end up on other platforms and give us the ability to continue to invest in them.
Community-based games, Sea of Thieves, and watch Forza Horizon 5.
I'd say 2 of the other games are smaller games that were never really meant to be built as kind of platform exclusives and all the fanfare that goes around
no, he
that.
didn't just say that.
But games that are
No, he did not say. No, he did not say. No, he did not just say that these games were not meant to be platform exclusives. One of them is a ZeniMax Media game, which you said was developed. You bought them to make exclusives for Xbox games.
They did say case by case a long time ago.
Of those, so sequels to those.
Case by case was about existing IP.
And when we don't damage
that was already on other platforms.
Listen, loopholes are loopholes.
No, loopholes are not loopholes.
We're going to do that.
No one subscribes to the ability to just lie about everything like you do, Forte.
I think there are.
I don't lie.
There is an interesting story for us of introducing Xbox franchises to players on other platforms to get them more interested in Xbox.
Audible wonders if Halo Infinite is one of them. Oh my God! You imagine
4 games, no promise beyond
that. If you imagine,
oh my, and you see these 4 games coming, please don't take it as some signal that everything's coming. It's not.
Oh wait, he said, don't take this as a signal that everything is coming. Why would anybody believe Phil Spencer or anything he says at this point?
How does that apply to future titles and how you're applying that criteria there?
Yeah, there's really no fundamental change to how we think about exclusivity. We just came out of Developer Direct, which was an awesome show, where we showed great games that are coming to Xbox and PC and cloud, which really makes them accessible to hundreds of millions of people. So it's this kind of, we're really focused on a couple platforms and what's going to show up there. But our key of play the games you want with the people you want. So
Starfield and Indiana Jones are not coming to other platforms.
We all win. These have been part of our strategy for years and will continue to be. Our focus is on how do we continue to grow the games industry by reaching more players in more places.
Ever?
And how do we grow Xbox as part of that?
Well, she works for Xbox. So
that's what I'm saying.
She's asking questions.
Asking questions they want them to ask.
And then knowing that, how do we think about our first-party games and Game Pass?
Yeah, well, to build on what Phil just said, one thing I would add, as you were talking about growth, is just that we've sort of seen this inversion over the last 5 years where it used to be that the platform was the biggest thing.
That's right.
And the games would sort of tuck in within the platform. Today, big games like a Roblox or a Fortnite could actually be bigger than any one platform. And that really has changed the way that we think about things. So in the midst of all that, I think we at First Party can come back to sort of some core principles.
Roblox and Epic Games do not have hardware to sell.
Second, all of our games will go into Game Pass on day one.
They don't care about the hardware like that, though.
We know that Game Pass will only be available on
Clearly
Xbox.
They don't.
So there's sort of
they just want you to buy the hardware if you want it.
As Phil mentioned, there are games today that you can play that only can be found on Xbox.
No, they care about it to the point where they just want you to buy it if you want it. They just want to have an option.
So we're going to continue.
They don't even market the hardware.
Kind of moving aside though from some of those and thinking more about what does it really mean for the player. To me, the two key things,
which is also a problem,
cross-play and cross-save.
That's what I'm saying.
They market the hardware less than the games.
Promise of Xbox,
but that's because
play with your friends where they are, play on the devices you want, play the games you want. So that is really only possible at a practical level when you know
you should market them both to the markets that they are supposed to be marketed to.
games today
and you're supposed to
are
do it to the best of your ability to sell both.
Games that don't.
This is Xbox.
Into the Xbox
I'm just telling you that Microsoft don't care about the hardware. The only thing they care about is that you just have the option to buy it there.
So fundamental to what we're doing, and I think it's
you know what, and that's why it sells the way it sells.
From being so close to the platform.
No one who's
absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things, like you said. All of our games are always in Game Pass, and so I'm excited to announce, with the coming together that we have Activision Blizzard King, that Activision and Blizzard games are coming to Game Pass, starting with Diablo 4.
Diablo 4
comes
to Game Pass on March 28th,
and it's all part of our commitment to make Xbox, the Xbox experience,
didn't say nothing about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3
available as possible. So now the 34 million Game Pass members can all enjoy
the new one comes out, the old one goes in.
Of Diablo 4.
What's the point of it? No, that's worthless at that point.
This isn't really a change in strategy for us. Can you recap for me how it isn't?
No one cares about Madden showing up in Game Pass after the NFL season is over.
Well, there's a lot of people that still play the older Call of Duty. Remember, the older Call of Duty still charts the next year.
Forte, how worthless is it to you to have Game Pass and get last year's Call of Duty when the new one comes out?
Across Xbox and Windows.
Think about that, man.
I'm not telling you that it's a good idea. I'm just telling you that they look at it as if that. And they didn't say that, so we don't know. I'm just saying that's just what I think they're going to probably do if they're not announcing it now.
To more platforms, but it is this view that people are going to play Xbox in multiple places. Whether it's play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, whether it's content, community, and cloud, whether it's when everybody plays, we all win. Like we've had different taglines, different strategy.
They love that when everybody plays, we all win. Except you.
That
you
Xbox
don't win.
Is a platform for creators who want to reach the most players. Our investments in xCloud, our investments in franchises like Minecraft, and now Call of Duty, and other large franchises, so that we learn how to build those. This has been a strategy that we've been on for, I'd say, a decade. It's not about one device. It's not about games in service of a device, but rather the device is that people.
It's a damn shame that Reforge has 6.8 thousand people watching the stream right now.
Because really, a healthy creator community.
I don't care about no damn Reforge.
Well, I'm just looking at like IOP only got they got 2,000.
Because that's the thing that will lead to the best long-term success and growth in this industry.
And my understanding, just from listening and learning from you three over the past few weeks, just understanding what's happening with Xbox, is that we see trends with player behavior where people are playing on multiple devices. That is the reality. And we have put some games out on multiple platforms before. So my understanding is that that's been good for players. How does that come back to the business with all of that in mind?
Yeah, as you said, we have shipped games on other platforms. In fact, realistically, if you look with the addition of Activision and Blizzard and ZeniMax, we're one of the largest game publishers on PlayStation. We're one of the largest publishers on the Nintendo Switch, especially when you put Minecraft into the equation as well. And now we're one of the largest publishers on mobile platforms as well. And that's not something that we want to back away from. We want to continue to be building great games that millions and millions of people can love, and that they can play those games
chapters up so you can see what they're talking about.
But we do understand the business success that Xbox has to have.
How is multi-platform availability good for business?
The system today, the system that all companies that we play video games from, is a world of you got to be growing your business.
They are talking about hardware, game preservation,
the long-term health of Xbox.
And what does
Many people know
Xbox
I've been on Xbox for over 20 years.
I
want to make sure Xbox is in the best position for the next 20 years. That means healthy player community, healthy creator community, and healthy business. So when we look at opportunities to allow more people to play, more people engage, more people to buy, more people to subscribe, it's all about putting Xbox in the best position. And our hardware is a critical component of that. The absolute best experience somebody has on Xbox is hardware that your team builds and that people play on. But that's not going to be everybody. We fully accepted that we're going to have Xbox players across all kinds of devices.
So I think a lot of people think about 2023 as this incredible year for gaming. And in a lot of ways it was. There were some really amazing releases that I think we all enjoyed. But what were the signals behind the scenes that maybe indicated how we wanted to look at the future of Xbox and how we kind of keep up with the industry?
Yeah, such a good question. And I think as people who care about the industry, which I assume is people who are watching this, it was an amazing year. Some great launches, some of the games that I think will stand the test of time and people will be talking about a decade from now. But it's an industry that didn't really grow. And what happens when an industry doesn't grow? You end up with some job eliminations, which we had. We had even our own hard decisions to make about building a sustainable business for ourselves, but in no way were we alone in that. When you think about a healthy industry, I want players who believe that they will find the best games on the platforms that they love. I want people who invest their careers in working here to feel like this is a place that they can be successful. And that really is down to being part of an industry that is growing. If you listen to Lisa Su, the AMD CEO, she'll say that AMD-powered consoles are likely to decline in 2024. I think there's an amazing set of games coming in 2024, but if we don't get to growing as an industry, the industry will struggle. And today there's really two choices on how do you grow the industry. Do you say I have a fixed number of players, the players that we have today, and do I find new ways to monetize those players to get more money from the players that I have? Or do you think about how do I expand the business I have by finding new players and adding those to the base of players that already play? Our focus on Xbox for the last decade has really been on that latter point of how do we make sure Xbox is growing for our players, growing for our creators, so those people are finding success on our platform, which will grow the Xbox business and put Xbox in a position to be very strong for years and decades to come.
Matt, earlier you were talking about these growing gaming communities, how they're incredibly large and comparable on such a different level when we think about console audiences. Like you mentioned Roblox, you mentioned
he talks
Fortnite.
about growing the platform,
we're obviously
but it's
thinking
like
about our responsibility.
you're
our
not making money
is supporting
when
the
people
growth of gaming
play
communities.
your games.
How has that actually shown up for the players? Are there other games we can speak to from our portfolio?
You're not making as much money when people play your games in other places. You know, it's just like this is why PlayStation and Nintendo want to draw it,
which is so great.
This is why Nintendo and PlayStation want to draw those people to their platforms where they can make the maximum amount of money.
And then equally important is where.
But 70 and 0% are, that's a huge number though.
Where's that library?
When you're getting 70% is better.
Are some of the biggest influences on where people choose to play and what devices they choose to play.
Yeah. When we think about, you could be getting more if you actually, narrowed it to where people play though. I mean, it's like people will come play your games.
They don't want to take the chance on people buying their platform and
I think
the adoption rate of their platform. I just don't ever think there's a way that Xbox can be as
games group.
I don't think they can sell like PlayStation and Nintendo.
Well, they haven't tried.
Your progression.
I just don't think they can. We'll talk about during the podcast. There's a lot of different ways that I kind of look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at, just step back and you look at the history of the industry, we've moved from a place where it used to be that someone built and launched a game to accelerate hardware to actually the things we do with our hardware and with our platform are all in service of making those games bigger. And we think about that across all of the investments we make, the consoles we build, the investments we do with things like cross-play, cross-progression, the things that we're doing with cloud. How do we actually give more options to game creators so they can have the greatest success? I think one of the fun recent examples about this is actually Palworld. Palworld was able to launch, they were a game preview, they launched in Game Pass, they also simultaneously launched in Steam. And through the combination of those things, Pocket Pair was able to have this outsized success, and it was the largest third-party Game Pass launch ever. And that's all because we give creators options on how they can launch their games. We've got subscription, we've got retail, we've got free-to-play, we've got game preview, we have the consoles, we have our experience on PC, and they can access all of those things. And when we step back and we just look at the performance of our platform all up, we know it's working. We're at the highest level of users on console, the highest level of users on PC, the highest level of users on cloud ever. We have
then why are you
double-digit
putting your
growth rate on
games
PC
on
and
your
cloud, places
competitors'
where we're enabling
platform
creators
if you
to
are
actually
at
reach
your
new
height?
players
Because they
beyond the
see
console ecosystem.
more.
And that's why we're leaning into
no,
it
they
and
don't
doing
see
more
more because
they do see more. That's why
they don't see more when your hardware is trailing behind your worst selling console. You don't see
when
more.
we look at our hardware,
they
it
see
really
more
is,
in other places.
They have yet to update us on Game Pass numbers in over a year.
That's because they're stagnant.
That is exactly what I'm saying, Forte. They are that what she just said is counter to what the facts are.
No, because they said they can sell the games on other platforms, just like she said.
We are at the highest in all these metrics, and I'm like, Game Pass is stagnant.
And we actually have more creators.
That's your main driver. That's what your everything. Game Pass is stagnant, and your hardware is selling the worst it's ever sold.
More to come.
But you're also talking. You're not including that PC though. Is where they're not talking about how
they are
the next generation roadmap.
Their growth on PC, really the Windows Store is so bad. Any growth is
selling games on Steam is still part of it,
and better for creators and the visions that they're building.
And when we're talking about hardware too, there's these other considerations that are really important to our community, probably to each one of ourselves as well. When you talk about library, because I want to dig in on that a little bit more. You know, as we talk about cloud
Steam is not
and
their
the
platform.
wider entertainment
it doesn't
industry,
have to be. It's still their game selling over there. That's why they still consider the engagement they get on Steam.
So this is why Xbox is going to be non-existent in like 5 years.
One of the highlights for me of being in this position was
they have this completely different mindset on what things are and how things work. Even Sarah said it. She was talking about now, you know, we used to think about how games would grow, you know, the hardware sales, but instead now we think about how the games grow. And I'm like, that's not how anyone else thinks. That's only how they think. You can't say, well, this is how things are now, and you're the only person that feels that way.
Compatibility with things that are built on it. Like I can still go back and play some of the games that I love playing on Windows from decades ago, and it will still run. And we try to bring that same.
Miko says they said Game Pass is at 34 million. Did I just miss that?
Because the line between what the hardware is and
during
what
the
the
stream
game is in consoles is
Miko and K-Mac?
It's tighter, which makes compatibility. You end up doing these generational compatibilities that we've built. But I will say compatibility. The ability to not only play the games, but my saves are still there with our cloud save systems to try to keep the services up as long as we can. So
feeling like they're going to fade into obscurity
is a tenet of what we are as Xbox. It's at our foundation. And when we look at future hardware generations and what we're going to support, making sure that we respect, which is the word I use, respect the investments that people have made in Xbox going forward is fundamental. And the fact that you get entitlements when you buy a game from us on both Windows and Xbox also means you have the ability to play that game across.
Let's go back for a second.
You end up doing these generational compatibilities that we've built.
He's talking about entitlements now.
Compatibility, the ability to not only play the games, but my saves are still there with our cloud save systems to try to keep the services up as long as we can so that people can play, is a tenet of what we are as Xbox. It's at our foundation. And when we look at future hardware generations and what we're going to support, making sure that we respect, which is the word I use, respect the investments that people have made in Xbox going forward is fundamental. And the fact that you get entitlements when you buy a game from us on both Windows and Xbox also means you have the ability
always
to play
will launch in Game Pass
across
day
a
one.
multitude of devices, which I think
hold on for a second.
Of the game's sake.
Okay, so there's a part here. I'm gonna start pausing it because there's a part here where he was just talking about entitlements and compatibility, and in that part, that's fine for first party games. But what about like if I have an Xbox and I buy Monster Hunter World on Xbox, if you start making hardware in the future and instead, or you start making the kind of hardware that is just console centric, and then you start creating, like, say for example, a PC handheld, and that's going to be your Xbox hardware going forward, is Capcom going to be like, well, I've sold this person Monster Hunter World on an Xbox console. You have a PC version of that game that's not represented in the Windows Store. I'm not making a Monster Hunter World version for them to play. Like, how does that work? I think there are some questions there.
Can we go back to what Xbox stands for today? I think we've pretty much covered all of the
I think you're a little bit ahead of where I'm at, Forte, so I'll get caught up on that.
You play on Xbox.
Yeah.
What we're saying is you're playing on a platform where you know the biggest games in the world are always going to be. You're playing on a platform where you get
Audible
to access
says all 4 games. Benji put out an update.
From our incredible range of studios.
All 4 games have been named. Footnotes already out as well.
And you're playing on a platform that's dedicated to you, like player-first features. Cross-play, cross-save, cross-progression, backwards compatibility, being able to play your games in your library anywhere you want because of the investments that we make in cloud gaming.
The 4 games are Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, and Grounded.
All of the screens where you are. And I think most importantly, Xbox is a place where you know when you're investing in Xbox, you're investing somewhere that is dedicated
2 Xbox Studios games.
Successful. And creators more successful.
Wow.
So that they can invest more and bring even better experiences to you. Come
on, man. These companies don't. These companies they don't do nothing different, man. They all do the same thing.
You know, what do you mean they all? This is Xbox is the only people doing this.
No. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about when it comes to communication on exactly what's happening. It's like, dude, this is all kicking the can down the road.
It means that the biggest games
all
are going to continue
They all
to
do
come
it.
to Xbox.
They all do it, bro.
This 2024,
it's like,
the year coming up.
None of the stuff that people truly want to answer was here.
Great stuff.
Except for the fact, the only thing they answered was the 4. They didn't even answer the 4 games, bro. Like once they came out and said that we're not going to talk about the 4 games, I was like, yeah, you ain't going to get nothing out of this street, bro.
And then that gets leaked out anyway.
Right.
It gets leaked out within minutes.
On the
within minutes,
today,
they might as well just said the 4 games.
Let me ask you something though. Is there a good chance that they probably at the time of recording this didn't know what the 4 games were going to be because they were still fighting with Microsoft about it?
Potentially, but you said something about Game Pass.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
What about what was it in context to?
When I said I'm a little behind you, you said something about Game Pass.
Oh, that games are still going to launch in Game Pass day and date. She literally said that Game Pass will always launch in their day and date.
But there's been talk. Okay, so like what they should have said is explicitly, because that's not what the talk is. The talk is that Call of Duty won't launch in Game Pass. They should have said.
I think they're talking about because people was rumored to say that they were going to take that away. Like Call of Duty still always going to be the conversation.
That's fine.
I think it was mostly to the people that kept talking about is day and date going to disappear.
Right. Okay. That's fine. And so day and date is gonna still be there, but exclusivity is looking the way of the dodo bird. And I don't care. They can say whatever they want about these are the only games. I do not agree with you. I do not believe you.
I think they're the only games right now. I don't think these are the only games, period, because why go down this road and do this if these are the only games you're ever going to do it for? I think this is
what's the purpose
right
then?
Now.
Yeah,
what's the games in the future? No one's going to know.
What's the purpose of putting these games on other platforms? Let's say you build up a player base for Grounded or for Pentiment on other platforms. What's the purpose of that? What do you want PlayStation gamers to do after that point? Because you pretty much have told them, I don't need an Xbox to play these games. I can play them here on PlayStation. So what are you saying? You're not putting any more of those games? If you do a Pentiment 2 or if you do a Hi-Fi Rush 2, you're telling me you're not going to put those games on a Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation? If I'm a PlayStation, or let's say I only own a Nintendo Switch, and I play Hi-Fi Rush, man, this game is fire. Oh, it's on the Xbox? Well, I already played it over here. Okay, so it came out last year? All right, well, I'll just wait for Hi-Fi Rush 2 to come out over here. Like, you're not driving people to your platform.
Once again, they don't care about that, but I will
But that's all they talked about was platform. This entire recording.
I know. That's all they talked about. So this is a big thing. And once again, just got to go back to listen to what they said. Listen to what they said and what they didn't say. The question, like when they worded, think about the way she worded the question. She didn't say, "Will these games are the games we're talking about? Do those include Starfield or Indiana Jones?" And they just said
he said that outright. He said
that outright.
Matter
but
fact,
think about the
that
way
part
she
just came up. Hold up.
That's what think about how she asked the question, though.
Forte, hold on.
Either of those titles are Starfield or Indiana Jones.
She did ask the question. She asked Starfield or Indiana Jones specifically.
They are not.
Yeah, she asked specific, but she said she was asking the specific to those games that are. Is it one of the 4 games? So no, it's not one of the 4 games. But she didn't ask the specifics, or they didn't ask the specific if those games would ever go. That's true. That's true. That's all I'm saying. It's all like I said. That's why I kept saying this conversation, this briefing is literally a means to an end to kind of quell the community and get them to kind of back off a little bit. But you're gonna have more questions than you went in it with.
Yeah,
it's like because right now I'm like, okay, so yeah, I know what the 4 games are because they got leaked, but you didn't answer the ultimate question. Like, is Xbox really about to become a third-party publisher that still makes a console? They didn't answer that at all.
The way I look at it, everybody's like, I see everybody now like on the timeline, like doing what we talked about yesterday. How they'll be like, "Oh, you guys all overreacted. We knew it was gonna be fine. Here we are." And it's like, this is what they're saying right now in 22 minutes, but I don't know why people are acting like they're out of the woods on anything. They know enough to kind of
all of this is exactly
by reiterating.
Yeah, all this is exactly what people were saying in regards to them and their messaging and how they do things. And this is it's not shocking whatsoever, because this is everything that why did they wait a week to do this? They could have just
That's why I don't really think it's whatever it really is not done. They just like feels that we hear you, we're listening, we'll have an update next week. In 22 minutes, they literally repeated the same message over and over and over again. And it was just enough to give talking points to the fan base to calm Twitter down. Or to make them think, and the funny thing is, people are cheering that it's only the 4 games. It's only these 4 games or whatever. Y'all went crazy over these 4 games. It's like,
Eric, that's exactly what I told Forte. I told Forte and Luca this. I said, have you noticed that in the beginning, when it was rumored that Hi-Fi Rush was going to switch and PlayStation, people freaked out. People was like, "Are you serious?" And then now it's not 2, it's 4 games. And because of the leaked thoughts of the Starfield, Gears Marcus Phoenix Collection, Forza Horizon 5. All these other games were talked of going, that people's minds got expanded to it's everything immediately. And then now they drew not the reality, but they drew the mindset back to just these 4 games, these small titles. Look, think about how they framed it. These small little games. It's not that big a deal, blah, 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 blah.
These are a year old. And they pushed that like a couple times. And even the official Xbox account pushed that message too, that these games are a year old. So they hear that message. They hear what people are saying. They want that message to sink in. Oh, well, you don't have to worry about it. These were a year old as we go and figure out what else we might be doing. And now it's like everybody, like you said, SloMo, they were freaking out, even at Hi-Fi Rush and everything else. But now, because it's not Indiana Jones or Starfield, even Phil has said for now. He didn't say that it wasn't going to happen. He said to The Verge, which Red Dragon just shared, because people are like, "Oh, see Starfield and Indiana Jones, they're not going anywhere." Phil said basically for now, like he said, these are these 4, and then we're going to be looking at these other ones still.
This is exactly what I've been saying, that no matter if it was a single game, if it was just Hi-Fi Rush, it didn't matter, because what people are going to think is more coming. I don't care what you're saying right now, more are coming. And when more show up, I'll play those games on the platform that I want to play it on over here. I'm not going to buy those games over there or get Game Pass to get those games. These are things that they want. They want Game Pass subscribers. Well, I'm not going to do that. I don't, because I'm gonna play your game on PlayStation, which doesn't have Game Pass. So sorry. Yeah, I mean, or I'm not going to buy it at all. And so then you just gave up exclusivity. What if these games don't sell well over there? So what did you earn?
Mm-hmm.
You gave up exclusivity and you didn't even get the additional revenue that you were hoping to get. What if Sea of Thieves doesn't have a strong player base on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch? You put it over there for nothing.
And now the door's open.
Yeah, but the door is open. And now someone who could have been on the fence on buying an Xbox is going to be like, nah, I'll just wait for those games to come over here. It's no different than what the mentality was on PC and PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Even though different markets, but the PC gamers, soon as Horizon Zero Dawn was rumored to be going to PC, and then it was confirmed, we getting the whole slate. We getting all the games. PC gamers were saying whole slate before Herman Ho said whole slate, like 2 years earlier. It's the same mentality here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to play.
Something I've said before, and I'm going to go back to the culture thing. I said, when you look at, what Nintendo kind of does and what Sony kind of does, like there's a culture in gaming, just like skateboarding, just like hip hop, just like everything else. There's a culture around gaming that, in particular, it seems like these two companies understand. So they go big. They'll, like I said, Sony will put, Kratos' axe in the middle of a town square. You know what I'm saying? When Nintendo releases a Zelda, like that shit is like everywhere, posters everywhere, everything going on, right? When you look at Microsoft, they talk about gaming like they do Windows and everything else that they do. That doesn't speak to gamers, and who carries the water for them the most? They have no real mind share when you really truly think about the overall community. Their biggest mind share is on Twitter. So that's who this podcast was for. So Phil wasn't lying last week. He said, we hear you, we're listening, we're going to do an update. He's not talking to gamers as a whole, he's just talking to this little base over here, right, who are the ones also. I want to see who wants to come out now and talk, if they're going to talk about this hardware thing, which we didn't think they would talk about today in particular. But this handheld.
They really didn't talk about hardware. They just talked about their overall thought on what hardware is still important to them, which I'm like,
right.
Okay.
But this rumor of this handheld, this particular thing, and people talk about, you can sideload this and do it. The casual gamer ain't doing all that.
Right. No, they're not. They're absolutely not doing that stuff.
You're feeding that back into the same exact people who are sitting right here on Twitter right now, celebrating the fact that you, for the longest, did all these acquisitions talking about exclusives matter and all this other stuff, and now you're moving into another platform. And again, the fanboys are carrying the water for them back on the whole tip. They don't even know what their talking points are anymore, the fanboys, because they want to tell you exclusives matter and
Xbox
second class
pivots,
and then
Xbox pivots so quickly they can't keep up with what the talking points are. They don't even know how to stay on the same page as them. They're not even in the same book. I want to touch on something that Sarah said real quick right here.
Activision and Blizzard games are coming to Game Pass, starting with Diablo 4 on March 28th, which I'm super, super excited to share today. And it's all part of our commitment to make the Xbox experience and the games that we build as widely available as possible. So now the 34 million Game Pass members can all enjoy the fantastic experience of Diablo 4.
That part there where she said, shout out to the chat for catching that she said 34 million, because we missed it. We were probably arguing when she said that. But so the very first game going to Game Pass is Diablo 4. No mention of Call of Duty. Forget Modern Warfare 3, the latest one. What about the older ones? You own it. You own it. There's nothing holding you from putting them on Game Pass. Put Modern Warfare 2019 on Game Pass. What's the one that everyone hates, Forte? The one that came out before Modern Warfare 2?
Vanguard.
Put Vanguard in there. Why are they still not in there? And you own it. You own the service, you own the hardware, and you own the games. And it's wild to me that like that is not being talked about more. Like, yo, you own all of this stuff.
Right.
5 months in after the acquisition, you still ain't put a single Call of Duty game in Game Pass. And then you get a 23-minute live stream, and you don't address it one time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, even on the hardware side of things, I mean, they talked about hardware, right? Here. They talk. I thought they would at least talk about, like, give some details to Xbox's hardware future, but they didn't do that either.
When we look at our hardware, it really is, and Phil said this earlier, it's where you get like the most flagship seminal experience of Xbox. And it also represents a developer target. Our developers can build the specs of our hardware, and we invest to make sure they know when they do that the games are going to run great on our hardware, but they're also going to be able to be accessed across any screen because of all the other investments we make. So we're giving them
So what she's talking about right there, about if when you develop the game on Xbox, and then just by the fact that you developed it on Xbox means that it will also play great everywhere else. She's talking about PlayFab, which is the API that they use. And so essentially it is scalable for PC, Xbox, xCloud. The developer doesn't, and it could be third-party developers too. They don't have to develop for different platforms when it works that way, supposedly. It's the part of the reason why Xbox Series consoles and you remember how everyone was like, where the tools at? How come your games aren't showing off the power that you said would be there? Because the tools weren't available for this when they launched initially on the Series consoles. But that's what specifically what she's talking about. And I am skeptical on that future, mostly because they've had, so take Starfield for example, take Ghostwire Tokyo, take what's the other one that Deathloop, all ZeniMax Media games. Now Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, and Starfield were all developed as multi-platform games initially. Okay, so this is what I want people to understand. They were developed with PlayStation as the lead platform because PlayStation has the bigger player base. And so the bigger number of people that are going to play your game are going to be on PlayStation. You want to make sure that it runs best on PlayStation. This is why third-party games, even though Xbox hardware is more powerful, third-party games still play, a large number of them still play better on a PlayStation because they were developed for PlayStation first and ported to Xbox. Now, why am I bringing up those ZeniMax Media games? 2 of those games were timed exclusive for PlayStation, and Starfield was the PS5 version was canceled. Starfield does not take advantage of Xbox hardware whatsoever. It doesn't. And more than likely, like the other 2 games I mentioned, it was developed first on Vulkan. And so its game design Vulkan is what they developed PlayStation on. Its game design is wrapped around that. in the future, if even though they don't want to admit it, more of your games are going to end up on PlayStation. You really going to tell me you're going to develop your games or tell your developers to develop their games for Xbox?
Yeah.
Knowing that you're already throwing away really exclusivity, you know, in the traditional sense, and putting those games on PlayStation, they're going to have to develop that game for a bigger platform over there eventually. I think those games will be developed the same way they were developed already. So the way Starfield was developed, where it didn't really take advantage of Xbox hardware because it needed to be ported to a PlayStation, I think that will continue. The only way you can be for certain to make sure that the games that you're making take advantage of the hardware that you're developing on, that is your platform, is that it's the only platform it's being developed on.
Yeah, and SloMo, think about how much time was wasted off the whole power narrative, because they never delivered on that promise on anything, and then they just moved away from it. But they spent how many years pushing A, you know, it's a monster, and then B, it's the monster that eats monsters, and now we're moving into a whole different realm. And I get it, you know, things shift, things change, but this is crazy how how constantly they pivot. And I have to dip out in a sec, but before I go, I want to say this. You know, let's get ready. Mark it now on your calendar, because we're gonna do this whole process over again in a few months when the next round of rumors start to crop up. Because that's how this all started. It started as Hi-Fi Rush being a rumor, and then, like you said, that escalated over into Starfield and everything else, right? And Indiana Jones, and that became the focus. But like you said, people were freaked out about the Hi-Fi Rush thing. But they're gonna act like they weren't now. And they're gonna act like it's all good now because those were a year old and everything else, right? Mm-hmm. We're gonna do this process again in a few months, and it's gonna be the same thing where the Xbox leadership has to come out and calm the Twitter gaming, Xbox gaming community down, and prepare them for the next phase of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because all this was, like Forte said, this was a kick the can down the road. In my opinion, nothing changed. All this stuff that just dropped was absolutely everything that was being said. So no, people weren't completely wrong in what they said. The initial rumors were true about some of those games going up. That hasn't changed. But now, like the dudes do with everything, they're acquiescing to now, oh, that's okay because now it's not this. It wasn't Starfield, it wasn't this. It was just those.
Yeah.
But the freak out happened over those. You see how that works? And now we're going to do it all over again because the acquiescence is in play now. Well, it's okay, guys, because these were a year old. They're telling you the message to run with. Well, those games were a year old. We kind of, you actually called out in the middle of the show. You were like, wow, he's actually sitting there saying this, where he was like, yeah, but those games were, were never really meant to be, platform exclusive per se. That was news to us. Because you guys took the high fives and everything else off the shadow drop and how everybody was talking about that, and it was supposed to be a big thing. And for some reason, from that to this, we've changed again. But hey, there you go. Get ready to, we'll do this again in a few months.
Right. I mean, look.
DPS streams. Right.
Blade didn't have any Xbox messaging when they first revealed it.
Right.
If you go to their website, if you go to the website and their own website, and you look at their games, you look at like Forza Motorsport, they used to go in the Wayback Machine and go look at how they used to market on their website Forza Motorsport. They had Xbox imagery everywhere. They had, how like those little, you scroll down and then you see like them promoting the consoles. You scroll down a little bit further, you see that they're now promoting Game Pass. You know how websites are built now, right? They actually took the Xbox out. They took out the logo for Xbox Series X and S. And they put in just console. I mean, like the writing's on the wall with this, man. Look, they're still gonna make hardware. They're not lying about that. They're still making hardware. I fully believe that. But the hardware is becoming more and more irrelevant. And if you're an Xbox gamer, an Xbox only gamer, like you are justified in the feeling that you should probably take your purchases and where you value playing your games somewhere else in the future. Because clearly they don't believe in their own platform. Look, the fact that you will put your new promising IP, Pentiment, despite the fact that Pentiment likely didn't sell well, we don't know. In a smaller title, they never marketed the game whatsoever. They never promoted the game. It's a high quality game.
Yep.
That brings uniqueness to your platform. Not anymore. You're putting it everywhere else. Okay. Hi-Fi Rush, high quality game, brings uniqueness to your platform. Not anymore. You're putting it everywhere else. These are new IPs, cultivated IPs. How can you grow IP to be at the level of your Halo, Gears, and Forza if you're putting it everywhere else? It's not going to be, nothing is going to be on that level because you're not giving it the opportunity to get there. Because you're putting it everywhere else.
It could be like Elder Scrolls was when it was everywhere else. At some point, hopefully.
Elder Scrolls started out exclusive.
Yeah, but it really blew up when?
It blew up on with Skyrim.
And that was multiplat.
But does that mean it blew up because it was multiplat, or because Skyrim was the best Elder Scrolls game?
It can mean anything. It doesn't matter if a game is exclusive or is multiplayer. Like, this is the thing we look at.
It doesn't matter if it's exclusive or it's multiplayer.
Listen, I don't want you to think that I disagree with your point on exclusivity, because if your goal is to build if your goal is to make your console popular and to make people want to buy your console, then exclusivity is the way to go. But it kind of goes to you gotta kind of think and look like what PlayStation said, like what the CEO said for PlayStation. Like, their goal was to make PlayStation the most popular console. That's why they were operating the way they were operating with the exclusivity. Because that's the number one way to make your console popular, is by having games that people can only play on that game that are of quality. And that's what makes the system popular, because of those games. Not because the system's not popular just because of the system, even though, and I do think at this point, PlayStation has built such a brand that the brand itself outseeds the overall games that come on it. People still buy PlayStations just because it's a PlayStation, but the games still move the needle for them. I think Xbox is looking like, well, we can't even compete on the level that PlayStation can when it comes to like popularity of the console. But we can definitely compete with the games that we have if we put those games in other places. Like you kept saying, like 100% of a sale is better than 70% of a sale. But when you're not getting even getting the sale of your console out there, and people are picking other consoles because of the popularity and the things that they're doing on it, then you're willing to take the 70% over nothing. So a game like Pentiment, as much as, and like I said, the only reason I say those games, like, to me, don't matter as much because those aren't the games that people are looking for. It's the main reason why they mentioned Starfield in this brief, where they said is Starfield or Indiana Jones one of those games, and they said no, even though I know that they didn't say the ultimate question of, are these games ever going to go anywhere else? And they weren't going to answer that question today, because guess what? The answer is yes. But the question right now, the answer right now is we don't have to make that decision right now. That's a decision we can make far down the line when people aren't really thinking about Starfield like that. Because I think a lot of reason that people are kind of upset about the whole Starfield rumor and Indiana Jones is because Indiana Jones hasn't even released yet. And the fact that you're already talking about it going to other platforms before we even got a chance to play it, it's going to really piss a lot of people off that's on Xbox. But then when you think about Starfield, that game just came out 5-6 months ago. Like, you know, maybe in a year, maybe a year and a half to 2 years. I think it's going to probably be a year. In a year, it's not going to really matter to people as much. Now, of course, there's going to be people that get like quoted out there for saying that, oh, it's never going to go to PlayStation. But most gamers, the people that just play games just to play games, they don't really care if Starfield goes somewhere else 6 months later after they already experienced the game. There's going to be people that care about that, but it's just the whole thing about PC. Like you, SloMo, you're not going to wait for Final Fantasy to come to PC to play it. You're going to pay it day one, even though you have a PlayStation. That doesn't diminish the fact that you just went out and bought a 4080 for your PC to play, you know, games at a better fidelity and better quality. You're still gonna buy that game again when it finally does come to PC, and they're looking at it the same way. They're like, "Yo, well, it's not."
I understand that I'm a minority in that.
Yeah, but the minority is what they're going after, because guess what? They're not getting the majority. They're not even getting the majority. So now they're after the minority.
And
something.
That's the problem I have with what they're doing, because it's like they never did the things necessary to make sure that they could get the majority. They didn't do those things properly, and so instead of doing them properly, they just went to I would say a loser mentality of, let's do it this other route. Let's get the 70% off of other people's platforms instead of trying to draw those people to our own platform.
This is also this company that went out and purchased a bunch of studios to fix their first party problem instead of building from within an ecosystem of games and development inside of first party, inside their own four walls.
Also, they never addressed whether. So they said no. Starfield and Indiana Jones are not going to other platforms, but they never addressed whether they were ever considered. And so because
they were definitely considered,
right? But you know how this community is, and you know how people are, and I've seen some people already saying, "Oh, you guys believe the fake rumor." How do you know it was fake? Because they said that those games aren't going to PlayStation and Switch right now, so it was never considered.
Right now is the key. Right now is the key word, because
that's not. They got no proof of that.
We were told a few days, like a week ago, well, don't believe in any of these rumors on Hi-Fi Rush or anything until they actually come out and say something official. So those rumors end up being true. So what makes anybody think that the rest of it won't be true? Like you said, they didn't outright squash anything today. Nothing changed as far as information went.
Right.
They didn't squash anything. They didn't give you a definitive on anything.
Nope. Not a thing.
Right? So
nope.
I don't know why people are sitting back. I mean, if this concerns you, because to me, it doesn't change anything for me. It didn't change anything for me when it was rumored. I was like, it is what it is. I play where the games are. I don't really care, right? But if this concerns you as somebody, as people who, you know, put on the Xbox green T-shirt and run around, they didn't do anything to really change anything. And if you're going to sit here and carry the water for them and say, well, those games are old and it's fine, it's all good, and you're excited because they didn't specifically mention Starfield and Indiana Jones. Again, like we said, they still haven't addressed Blade. They're still cagey on that one. And Phil, the statement is already circulating that Phil said, basically, Poppy was quoting a bit, but he's basically saying, yeah, those games aren't going, but you should never not be open to the idea of it happening.
Yep.
Actually, let me see if I can find that exact quote, because I don't want to misquote. I wanted to make it plain.
Hey man, listen.
Yeah. I'm gonna wrap this up because I'm gonna wrap this up because Oh, Gregor said, "Why is E in the bathroom?" Go ahead, Gregor. Just I guess he's talking about your mic, man.
No, it's like my mic died, so I'm using my AirPods. So I'm sorry, the quality like it's really.
You're good, man. You good, man. Gregor is just being Gregor. But I wanted to wrap this up because I gotta take care of something for work real quick. But do appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate the chat, listening in and watching and giving their opinions as well. What are you guys' final thoughts? E, go ahead, go first with your final thoughts.
I think I kind of put them out there. Like, I honestly feel like I don't know why we had to wait a week to hear this. You know, like it literally could have been said. What you guys are hearing, this part is true, and we'll have more details down the road. That's essentially where they left it today. And they just kept repeating that same note over and over again, you know, about cross-play and cross-buy and reaching gamers. That's the same stuff that they've been saying like for the longest. They didn't say anything different today. And that's why it was 22 minutes. And it's exactly what Phil said. Hey, we hear you. We'll see you next week with a business update. I don't even think there was a business update. It's the exact same thing, except confirmation of what those rumors were. So yeah, so if it concerns you, I wouldn't sit back and think it's all good, because part of those rumors were still true. So no, people that were putting that out there weren't completely wrong. Yeah, they got some things wrong for now, but they weren't wrong about that.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yep.
But people gonna believe they want to believe, and they're gonna listen to like the influencers who tell them what they want to hear. So y'all have at it.
Exactly. Forte, your thoughts? Last thoughts?
Man. Exactly what I said a week ago. I was like, why we gotta wait a week for you to tell us nothing? That's what they did. I said, what you did, gotta wait a week. Maybe just to iron out the finality of the fact that Starfield was one of those 4 games probably, or maybe there was 5 or 6 games, and they got them to say, okay, listen, we can't come out there and say that those games are coming right now. So they got Microsoft.
They could have sent a tweet and said Starfield and Indiana Jones are not going to other platforms, and left it at that.
And that's why I said last week, I was like, listen, this is all about a conversation between Microsoft and Xbox about the messaging and what they want to put out there. And Xbox, and let's be for real, Xbox won this fight when it came to the Starfield and like all the other games like Hellblade and everything else like that being announced going multiplayer. Doesn't change the fact that
they
it's still
won.
going.
I don't think they won anything.
They won. They won. I'm talking about they won
they kicked the can down the road.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They won the fight today. They won the fight of, we are going to piss off, we're not going to officially piss off our whole player base in one afternoon like we did last week when this leak happened. That's what they won. They won the opportunity to try to convince people
to piss you off later on.
No, because there's a thing, because guess what? This is the same. See, I think they probably, if you think about it, they tried to point back to 2015 when they started this whole initiative putting games in other places, and people were upset then. But the difference was, it was kind of a small rollout. It was like one title here. It was Quantum Break. The next time it was Gears of War. They put on PC. It wasn't like a whole bunch of games going at one time. So now I think they're looking at it like, okay, let's do these smaller titles. Let's get people used to it. Let's just do the whole boiling the frog in the water thing and turn the heat up ever so slightly until it's at a full roar. And that's what they're going to do here. They're going to do the same thing. These games are coming because, like I said, even if you don't believe if you want to have the whole thought process on, oh, they didn't say it, wait till they confirm it completely. Okay, well, if you listen to just this show by itself or this stream by itself, they basically, the main question was kicking the can down the road. They just said, oh, those are one of the 4 games. What about in the future? What about next week? Who knows? So that's kind of what I looked at this show as. I mean, you know, for some people, it's going to make them happy because, you know, they're going to feel like they got a W off this. And for a lot of PlayStation fans, they're going to feel like, well, they still ain't tell you nothing. And I feel like in general, nobody really wins in this. all it does is kind of take Xbox off the hot seat with the majority of their community that all they do is parrot everything that they say. But for the people like on our podcast and some of the other podcasts that actually have a brain, you're going to still question like, okay, so all of these different things you talked about what Xbox stands for. You talked about the hardware. You talked about all of these different things, but why are you still doing what you're doing? And I think that's the bigger conversation. So we'll talk about it more tonight. We'll get really in depth with it, but it's more of what I thought it was going to be, and there's nothing more to say about it.
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the back.
You thought they were.
I wanted to kind of like talk about something specific. Like so I agree with a lot of you guys' points, and I think I'll reiterate what I've been saying from the very start. And even when all this talk first started, Forte, you can say I'm lying or not. I always said from the very start, if one game goes, that's an L. And that is just as bad as all the games going. And instead of one game, they got 4 games going. So that's what was to be expected, and this is the L that they are taking, because it's essentially giving up on your platform as far as I'm concerned. Now they may not say that's the case, but somebody found an article about Sega back in the day, and about Sega putting their games on other platforms, or rumors that Sega will develop games for other consoles. And there's a particular passage in this article that reminded me of Xbox when I read it. And it started with bringing Dreamcast to everything. If you think all of this means that Sega is going to stop supporting Dreamcast, think again. And what happened to Dreamcast?
It died on a vine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best consoles ever. That was such a good console.
Unfortunately, that was a movement in '99, man.
I know, man. VMUs and everything.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the people today who don't ask any additional questions, that buy everything that they say hook, line, and sinker. And instead of questioning Phil, Sarah, and Matt, they're questioning the other Xbox people who have questions. They're attacking the other Xbox people who have questions. And then when people are telling you not to use critical thinking, when people are telling you you should just accept what things are, this is the future, even though this is the loser talking about the future of where things are going, not the victor.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the people who say these things, and think about what they always say. Go back and you can go through their tweets, you can go through their podcasts, you will see that they have been talking passionately about the very opposite things they're saying right now. But one thing that they will continue to keep defending and keep saying is that Xbox is right.
True.
That's the only consistency that they have, is that Xbox is right.
Yeah, it's like listening.
I have seen people
big moment, how to overcome the big moments.
Yeah, I have seen people who were just 2 years ago talking about exclusive, Exclusives is how you grow your platform. Exclusive. This is why they bought all those studios. This is why they're buying ABK. This is why they bought ZeniMax Media. Exclusive. Talking about, well, yeah, of course, games are now should go everywhere. That's the way the market's moving. What changed? Who said that? Who told you that? Where in the market did you see that? Because no one else is doing that has a platform but Xbox. And no one else is talking that talk but Xbox. And that's why they changed their mind. But Xbox. So that's all I gotta say. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. This Damage Per Second podcast channel. We're trying to grow the channel. We'll eventually have DPS podcast, which will be tonight on Gaming Forte's channel, starting on Gaming Forte's channel and then ending on this channel. But eventually we will have just DPS just on this channel. And we would just love to have everyone who's listening. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We would really appreciate it. But you will see us tonight talking about some of the same things we're talking about right now. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. We're out. Peace.